Hello people, I am Jaby KOAY, joined by Achara KIRK.
Hi there.
As you can see, we've got some interesting colors on. So happy Independence Day first and foremost. I thought that with the celebration we could watch The Legend of Bhagat Singh, since that was pretty influential in India's history. So we watched it.
It's a super fun, light and fluffy movie.
Yeah, I decided that we should wear the colors to represent the Indian flag. I thought that would be appropriate. And yes, this is the end of the video. You may now go about continuing your celebration. So, Legend of Bhagat Singh, this film was declared a disaster at the box office, so I actually don't know how much of my audience has watched it. What I do know is that when we did the trailer reaction, it was actually really popular. I looked at the view count just now, it was at 780,000 views.
Wow.
So, it's a fairly popular reaction. Doesn't mean that many people watched it. So I can't assume everyone who's watching this review has seen the film. There's not really much to hide in the way of spoilers. So, but I'm gonna assume that anyone watching this is fairly knowledgeable on Bhagat Singh's life, at least more knowledgeable than we were. So this video is mainly gonna be about our feelings about the film itself. And if you are someone who watched it and felt that it was a perfect movie, then you probably don't wanna watch this if you can't stand anyone giving it even remote criticism, because there will be some of that in here. Overall, I think we both really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was very enlightening. The acting was great. The music was great. Yeah, so overall, a very good film.
Yes, but there are some criticisms that I think we share.
Yes.
We will dive into that as we go on in this video. But again, if you don't want to hear any criticisms about the film, then don't watch it. First thing that I want to say is that it was very educational for me, because I didn't know the extent to which the Indians were oppressed during this time. Like, I knew that it was a thing and it was massive, but just the details of the atrocities that were shown in the film, I was mortified. I was like, I could not believe that some of these things were real. It was very upsetting to watch.
There was a lot of pausing and like internet searching.
Yeah.
Like, wait, did this really happen?
Yeah. That I had to stop the movie a few times, and because I was like, this is so disgustingly bad. And I had to look it up, and I'm like, oh my god, like, that's all real. That all really happened. They really had those signs. They really killed these people.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of ugliness that happened during that era, and I was really happy that I watched this film and learned about this, because it's like, it really shows you just how much damage was done during that time, and for even before that time, because the film talks about the history leading up to these days of March 23rd. So on that front, I was very appreciative of this film because it really enlightened me as to that time. It enlightened me also to the difference between Gandhi and Bhagat Singh, and that kind of budding of ideologies, of approach.
Yeah, all sides were important, all sides were crucial, but I think, in our learning of history, there's a lot of focus on Gandhi and the peaceful resistance, and it was amazing to learn about Bhagat Singh and his sacrifice for his ideals and for his country.
One of the interesting things about the film that I really appreciated was they really showed you the team around Bhagat Singh, because it's very easy for a film like this to just kind of glorify one person, one character. And the film made a point to really show you the network of people that he had. He wasn't even the leader of the group. He was following someone else. He absorbed a lot of the fame for that movement, but it wasn't a movement he started. He just continued it.
And he spearheaded it.
He spearheaded it eventually.
On,
His movement became more famous because of when he was in jail more than anything else. So it was really fascinating to learn all about that stuff. I did a little bit of research on the film after watching it, and one of the interesting things to me that came up was an article talking about Jagmohan Singh, who is a nephew of Bhagat Singh. And he complained about the film due to historical and cultural distortions. The thing about it is, his complaints in this article I found were unfounded. He was lumping together two films, Legend of Bhagat Singh and 23rd March 1931 Shaheed. I imagine that some of his criticisms were more directly aimed at 23rd March 1931 Shaheed, because what he was complaining about didn't seem to be true in Legend of Bhagat Singh. He was saying that the film portrayed Bhagat Singh as someone who was like trigger happy, which I don't think was necessarily true. He did kill one person, but I don't think he was trigger happy.
No, everything for him had a purpose, and he certainly didn't want to just kill people willy-nilly.
Right, he wasn't a gangster. That's number one. Number two is the director actually fights back. In this article, he says that he did thorough research, tried to keep it as accurate as possible. What was interesting to me is just how accurate the film was, at least according to what little research I've done, just comparing and contrasting, because what often happens with films like this, with any kind of biography, you'll find that there are liberties taken in order to more effectively tell the story. While the film was more focused on Bhagat Singh than other characters, it somehow managed to stay true to a lot of the events that happened in real life, as far as I can tell. I'm open to being corrected on that if you guys want to let me know in the comments. One of the things that I found a little bit distracting, and this, according to you, was just kind of a style of the times or a way of doing things at the time, was there was a lot of dubbing in the movie. My eyes just noticed that the audio and the mouths just weren't in sync quite a lot, and I was just a little bit confused as to why that was happening here. I guess it's just the way movies were made back then.
I only have to draw on like my own experience of being in one Thai movie, but I remember having to dub my lines, and I think it's just because they didn't really have good audio on set.
I mean, that's just a technical thing that I found a little bit distracting. Now, I appreciate A.R. Rahman's music in the film. I thought it was phenomenal. It was beautiful.
Beautiful.
All throughout the movie. Now, there are 2 points that I wish that it wasn't in the film. Again, I am not criticizing the music itself, just its placement in the movie. So if you guys don't want to hear about that, just turn this video off now. There was one point when they're in the jail and this guy who like put chili in his throat was on the verge of giving in to drinking the milk that was given to them as a means to break their spirit, and he throws it down after like this, you know, what do you call this, buildup of anticipation of whether or not he's gonna do it.
That was a really powerful point in the movie as well.
When he maintains his fortitude and their collective, what do you call it? What do you call it when people work together?
A goal?
Solitude in doing
Solidarity.
this. Yeah, solidarity in doing this, right? It goes into a song, and I was like, I know that for the Indian audience, especially at that time, it probably was an emotional thing, and it worked in favor of the film, and it worked in favor of the audience's reception of the film. But for me, you know, this is new to me, it was like, it kind of took away from the impact of that moment. And the second time that it happened, like all other times withstanding, the music was great, right?
Yeah,
and I appreciated it, score or lyrically. But the other time that bothered me was leading up to the death at the very end of the film. They're leaving the jail and they're walking and you see the things being tested. I thought that was a moment that would have been so effective as completely abandon the style that's been done in the film so far. Like, fine, you want to keep the music and everything leading up to this moment, but to get rid of it completely here, just to show, just to like make you feel all of that. Like, listen to the sound of the thing being tested. Listen to them walking up. Kind of like when what's his name was shot in the garden. I don't remember the name of the freedom fighter in that scene.
Panditji?
Panditji, yeah. When he was shot in the garden, he was like, the dude Judased him, basically, betrayed him, and the officer shot him. You didn't hear anything but the officer's footsteps walking up to him, and there was something powerful about that for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, I noticed the sound effects there because it was just really quiet, and it was almost like the film gave you a moment to feel his death.
Right, yeah.
And I appreciated that, and I wanted something like that towards the end of the movie, where you hear them walking up, you hear the things being tested, you know, you hear them embrace. Instead of giving us any music at all, like you're there with them, experiencing that.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I can see like what you're saying there, and that certainly is very powerful. But I feel like the song leading up to their execution, I thought that was just to show them as being like
strong
more,
to the end.
Yeah, like more jolly or whatever. Like you know, we're happy to do this. We're happy to make this sacrifice.
Right.
Am I crazy?
No. I agree with you,
Okay.
and I agree that that's what the film was doing and showing, and I certainly got that message. I think I was getting it anyway, and I would have gotten it anyway without that music there. I like the song. I thought the song was great. I just wanted that as a movie. Like, I just wanted that part to be absolutely nothing but sound effects, nothing but their breathing, nothing but like real life stuff there.
It would have certainly made for a very different mood.
Yeah. And then bring back the music in the end after the hanging, you know. And I like that the film didn't show you the hanging. I think that would have been too much.
Yeah.
It was like,
we get it.
there was some powerful moments in there that actually moved me to tears. Like the scene with him and his dad, like that messed me up. Where his dad, like, you feel his dad's pain. He's like, "You're my son. I'm just trying to take care of you. I know that what I did wasn't in line with what you're trying to do, but I love you and I gotta take care of you. Like, that's my job." And then that scene with the mom, she's like, "Don't you think of me?" And he's like, "I am only thinking of you."
God,
I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ." You know, it was so much. There was moments that definitely moved me and made me emotional, and I was like, you probably heard me, I was like, "Oh shit."
I know.
Like, I was just like, I don't want to cry right now. Like, this is, I think what messed me up, like, not just that, was also seeing not just what the British were doing to the Indians, but what the Indian soldiers working for the British were doing to the Indians. That really messed me up. I'm like, oh, that's painful to watch.
But there were even some great moments, like the main warden at the jail.
Why, he cared for Bhagat Singh.
Yeah, he initially took great pleasure in beating up Bhagat Singh and his friends. And then by the end of the movie, right before his execution, you could see in his eyes, like, just how badly he felt and just how wrong he thought it was. So you saw that shift, which I think was good.
I saw the shift too, but he had no redemption for me. He had zero redemption for me. I'm like, "No, dude, you are like, you can cry, but I still want you shot. Like, I want you dead." Like, I was so upset with all of the soldiers who were like going after Bhagat Singh, who were like oppressing their own people. That just mortified me. Like, that just doesn't sit well with me. You can beg for forgiveness, but that does not sit well with me at all. Especially the dude who was beating him on the ice.
Yeah,
that guy. That who you're talking about. Like, I'm glad he felt remorseful at the end, but still, like.
But that just goes to show the power of the movement. Like, when you have a person like Bhagat Singh, like Gandhi, like any of these freedom fighters who are so committed to their cause, like, they can change the perspective of people who initially were against them. You know, so that's really powerful.
There were some criticisms of the way that Gandhi was portrayed in this film, from what I was reading, but I don't know, like, it's a perspective. Yeah. It's certainly just a view that the director was taking on, and it certainly didn't make Gandhi look great. I mean, there was a scene where Gandhi was like, is there something that can be done about Bhagat Singh's death? No? All right, and he just signs. I'm like, oh boy. Oh boy. That doesn't make Gandhi look very good. But like, I kind of wish...
Everyone was doing what they felt was right.
Right. I mean, all roads lead to Rome, right? Like, they were all trying to fight for the same cause. They all wanted the same thing. They just had their own approach to getting it done.
And they all had their own idea of what it should be.
Right. Now, on that note of Gandhi, I thought that, I mean, I've only seen footage of Gandhi, like black and white footage of Gandhi, photos of him, but that dude looked just like Gandhi.
I know. I was like, wait a second, did they get a cologne?
Right.
Like, what happened? Like, even his mannerisms and stuff, and the costuming and the look, I was just like, is this real footage or is this an actor?
As per usual, I always have criticisms of the white actors in the film. There were some actors that didn't even sound English. They sounded like Russian or something. Yep. It was a little bit weird. They're like, just placeholder white guy. That just, it works. It communicates the point.
It's fine though.
I imagine that there were a number of British actors who just wouldn't want to participate in a film like this. And so that probably, spoke to why you got the talent that you did for this film. I'm used to it by now, but it was still a little bit distracting. Ajay Devgan's acting in this film was very, very strong.
Yes.
I felt. Again, we don't speak the language, so we can't tell with full accuracy how good his acting was, but I liked it.
I thought he played that very idealistic, strong leader type very well. I thought the rest of the cast were also very good. Like, as an ensemble, everyone performed really well together.
I agree.
My only thing, and it's like a minor thing, and I think I understand why it happened for several reasons, but after reading all the info on Bhagat Singh and finding out that he died at age 23, 24, depending on which source you're reading.
Right.
It just kind of bugged me that Bhagat Singh and a lot of the other characters who were supposed to be in their earlier 20s were portrayed by actors who were as old as they were. So it just, I guess, like, especially his death and stuff, in a way I felt would have been more impactful if they had used someone who looked much younger, because then you get that sense of like, wow, this person like barely started living his life, you know? and he gave it up for his cause, his ideals, for his people, for his country, and like that's really powerful. And had he been younger in that moment with his mother, I think my heart would have broken way more. But saying that, you know, obviously Ajay Devgan was very, very good in this film, and I realized that, you know, sometimes you need that star power in order to get the movie seen. And another thing is sometimes you need someone who has more weight, more life experience in order to effectively portray a role that is as important as that.
Sure.
So I understand maybe why they cast him.
To what you were saying just now, I certainly felt that in places in the film. Like, Ajay Devgan just didn't look 19 or 20 years old at the time of making that movie, and there's nothing he could have done about that. Like, all the, you know, I guess he could have done makeup, but makeup is so much better today than it was back then.
Yeah.
That being said, like, where it counted, I thought Ajay Devgan really delivered.
He did.
And at the end, I didn't feel that. I felt the story, I felt what the story wanted me to feel for the most part, and his age didn't really make a difference to me in that moment. One of the things that stood out to me that was very interesting, and you know, with regards to the actual Bhagat Singh, is that he was an atheist, and yet he was still willing to sacrifice himself. And that to me is fascinating. The idea of being this person who does not believe there will be something that follows this, this life. Like, this is it, and you believe wholeheartedly that once you give your life up, that's it, it's gone. And you're not coming back. There's no heaven, there's no Mecca that awaits you in the afterlife. Like, nothing else is coming. There is no afterlife. Like, this is it. And to still stand by your ideology and your principles and being willing to sacrifice in spite of knowing that, or along with knowing that, is powerful to me. That's just so amazing, because like, it's so much easier to convince yourself to self-sacrifice when you believe that something else is awaiting you in the afterlife, that you believe that, you know, whether it's Jesus or Buddha or whoever else, like, you believe something awaits you after this. If you're Buddhist, you believe in the karmic circle, like you'll come back and reincarnate. But if you're atheist, like, no, there's nothing else awaiting you. And to sacrifice despite that, like, I don't know, for some reason that really struck a chord with me. Like, that hit me hard.
It just shows that he believes in his ideal so much that it doesn't matter. You know, like, he knows that this is his cause and that's what he has to do.
So as an outsider, that's the easiest way for me to phrase it. I wish the film was a little bit more spoon-feeding, because like, as an Indian, I'm surely you know about all these events. It's like, it's in your history, you've studied this, so you are just kind of watching this be, you know, played out, and you can fill in the blanks. For me, I was like, I had to do a little bit of research while watching the film. I'm like, hold on, there's some like disjointedness happening here. I'm not able to connect all the dots. But that being said, I feel like the film did a pretty good job of diving in and letting you experience this life, this world with these characters. I really appreciate this film a lot. I appreciate learning about Bhagat Singh. So you guys, again, happy Independence Day. Hopefully you enjoyed our review of The Legend of Bhagat Singh. Again, I liked it a lot. I would give this, I guess, a 4 1/4 out of 5 stars. 4.25 Jaby heads out of 5 stars. And what would you give it?
A 4.
A 4.
Solid 4.
A solid 4, yeah. Overall, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I learned something today, and